This video is going to be about working with type in InDesign in your workbook, and also about how to utilize style sheets. So if we jump into InDesign, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the type tool, and I'm going to drag a box in this column. I've cut some text, so if I go edit, paste, it's going to flow this text in here. Now the first thing to notice is there's a little red plus here. So what this means is if I click on it and I click and drag, that text is going to flow into the next column. And it looks like there's even more, so I could do another column and float it in. If I delete this column, the text will go back in this original box. If I draw a blank text box here and I click back with the arrow tool on this first box, if I click on that square again and I go to the other text box, you'll see that the icon changes to a link. So this text is going to flow through. So what you'll see is if I get this text box and I move it up to under often, called now flows into this box. These two lines here, if I drag it out here, it flows back. So you have this back and forth between the two. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I've got my text tools down the edge here, but you will find them under here. You'll find styles, and we have character and paragraph, and then under type and tables we have character and we have paragraph again. So what I'll do is if I double click in here and get the text tool, Command A or Control A on a PC, I can come in here and I can click on the character tool and I can pick a font. So I'm going to go for Basketball Oldface, and it comes up at 10 point, 12 point leading. If I increase the text up, the leading goes up as well. But you can see that with just a few lines, it becomes really awkward. So I'll double click again. Let's take it right down small. Too small and too many words starts to become awkward again. So again, I'll double click on it and I'll go back to what we had before. No, it's not too bad, but I'll go to 10 and I can look at the leading. Too close makes it awkward to read. Usually I expand it out into like a little white gap, but because there's so few words per column, it probably needs to be a little bit tighter. So we've got the character. So here we've got spreading out. I'll get into some of those details in a minute. The first thing I'll go to here is I'll go to paragraph. Now, if I select all of this, you're going to see you have indents. You also have a few things like this here, the space at the beginning of a paragraph and the space at the end of the paragraph. At the moment you'll see it's on 2. If I take that back to 0, you'll see there's no space here where it says Futura. If I move it to 1, you can see a gap open up. So you control this gap and you can see it all the way through the whole document. Every time there's a paragraph break, it's going to put in a space of 2. We've got a few things up here, like whether you want it centered, flush left, flush left, ragged right. The other one was ragged left, flush right. So we've got that. So that's looking not too bad. Now with the text, first thing we're going to notice here is we have hyphenate. If that's switched on, you can end up with some breaks, but it doesn't. Oh, you can see here it says con, and then it's got a hyphen densed. So if I just switch off the hyphenation, you no longer get that. You get a few, but it's not a break in the word, it's just where there's a hyphen joining a couple of things together. But otherwise it gets through it. Now, this is a better way to work without hyphens, but what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with some kind of odd breaks in places. And let's see if we can find a good example. This one here, I'm just going to put a take it up and put a return, and you'll see that it's giving the same space that these ones have got here. So you can see in some parts it looks a little bit awkward. So this line down here, we have a longer line and then we have three short, so you end up with this kind of odd rag. What you can do is if you keep clicking till you get that line, this is when you can go up to the character, and you can do things like this here. We can go, okay, I want the spreading to be 10, 20, and what you're trying to do is to spread that line out before it looks too awkward. So if I make it a bit more, 50, 60, it's now looking a little bit too odd. So if I take it back to 20, it helps the flow of that text and it doesn't look too out of place. You can also condense lines down. So if I get this one, I can go minus 10. Usually you want to be careful, it starts to become quite awkward to read. That one I might just go -5. Just so it doesn't squish up too much. So you can get quite a bit of control. What you want to be careful of, if I have hit shift return, it's called a soft break, so it won't give me that paragraph indentation. But you want to be careful for widows and orphans. So these things here where you end up with one word on the next line, what I would do is I would shift return, and I'm just going to open this up so I can find it then, and bring it back up onto the next line. So it's better to have at least a couple of words like that, or to try and use those functions of squeezing the text in so that everything comes up on the one line. Now with this text here, if I bring in another text box, and I'll go paste again, you'll see that the font's different. So from page to page, what you can do is you can set up a style sheet, and I'll show you how to do that now. The easiest way is if I just highlight this text that I've already done, I can go to my paragraph style, I can make create new style, and I'm going to call it bodycopy, and I'll go, before going OK, I'm going to go through and have a look. So you can go through all these things. It says what the font is, what the size is, and it will go through a whole lot of options. It has the space after because it's the paragraph. So you can set a whole lot of settings in here, and what that means is if I go OK, that I can get an area like this. I'll go Command All, and I can just hit body copy. And you'll see that it goes through and it puts all exactly the same specifics onto it. And it goes through the whole paragraph. So what a character style does is it doesn't change the paragraph, it only changes the text. So for instance, if I get this and I go to my character style, I can make a new one and I'll double click on that. Here's the basic character formats, old face, regular. So what I'm gonna, it's just got the regular there, so leading, tracking, kerning, all those things. Let's say I change the color. So the text is now going to be magenta. Underline options. I'll give it a strike through. So I'll give it a fine line. Solid. And the color, I'll put it on the same as the text color. And I'll go OK. So what you'll see now is that I now have this character style. So if I come over here, it's like, okay, every paragraph is going to start off the same way. If I had that highlighted with the paragraph style, it would go through the whole paragraph, but with character, it's only going to change whatever area I highlight. Now with all of these things, once you have a style sheet right through your whole document, if you change something, it will change everything. So if we open up the paragraph style again, body copy, and what I'm going to look at is this space here. So I will go to character formats. Here we go, condensed and spacing. So if I change this now here, and I can preview it as well. So I can click preview, watch the space just before Futura. Get larger or smaller, and you can see that it's actually going through the whole document wherever there's a break. So I'll take it back to 2. I can go back up to basic character formats and say, okay, I want everything to be 9 point. Just let it, and it will go through the whole document. Change the font. Still keeps these characters and the spacing, all that sort of thing, but making those modifications all the way through. And you can do exactly the same thing with the character. So if I come back to my character styles, open it up, and you can put as many styles in as you want. So I can go to character color, I'll leave. Underline options, I'll just, sorry, not underline, strike through options, switch that off. Preview it. And I'll give it to character color, put it back on black, and what I'll do is I'll make it I'll make the size 14. You can see it changed here, but here it changes the the leading and everything starts to get a bit weird. So with this, I can, let's take it down to 8, and I'll put the leading on 9, and I'll go OK. So with this, I can highlight that and just go none, takes it back to what it was. So again, nothing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to find an area here. So with this whole paragraph, I'll put in a return. I can see I've got my one bit of text on the end there, so I'll click before printed, shift return for soft return. I'll grab all of this and I'll go character style. And it changes it all the way through the document. So here's an example up here where we can have a couple of character styles. So if I get this one, then I can come in here and go, okay, character style, and I'll call this subtext. Okay, this one here, I'll call it body. Okay, and so now with this one, whoops, it jumped off, so I'll put it back on. Subtext, this area here, I can grab it. Subtext, this whole paragraph again. Subtext, this one, I'll take it back to body. So again, different paragraph styles, bring it in. So let's say we highlight this one here, paragraph styles. I'll open it up, and with this I'm going to say, okay, basic character, I'll leave that functionality. The indents, I'm going to make it 5 below and space before. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring in a space so it fits in there. Okay, I can close that. This one I'm just going to select all, delete it, and there's nothing there, so we'll put a little bit more text in. And again, we can click here, come over to the text box, links, and I can see this paragraph needs to start on a new line, so I'll pull the text box up, then it pops over and it starts here. Let's give all the new paragraphs an indent. So paragraph styles, bodycopy, indents and spacing, and if the preview's on, left indent, you can see everything is moving in. What I want is I just want the first line of each paragraph, so you can see it moving in slightly here. Go OK, and it happens right throughout the whole document. So that gives you a little bit of an idea on how to use the style sheets.